I killed my best friend with my bare hands last Tuesday, and the cops haven't even knocked on my door yet. Not because I'm some ghost in the machine, but because I'm wearing his skin like a goddamn second chance, staring at my old reflection in the mirror and wondering if the devil takes returns. You think betrayal stings? Try waking up in the body of the man who stole your life, your name, your everything, and realizing the revenge tastes sweeter than the poison he fed you. The rain hammered Chicago like it had a personal grudge, turning the streets into rivers of regret that swallowed my wingtips whole. I was Kennedy Hale, 28 years old, fresh out of a decade grinding in the shadows of Goldman Sachs wannabes on LaSalle Street, and I just lost it all. Not in some slow bleed of bad trades or market crashes, no. This was a knife to the gut, twisted by the one guy I'd called brother since we were kids dodging truancy officers in Southside basements. His name was Jax Harlan. We grew up in the same cracked concrete projects. Him with a silver tongue that could charm a jury. Me with a numbers brain that balanced the books. College on scholarships. Then Wall Street. Me crunching algorithms for high-frequency trades. Him schmoozing clients into Ponzi dreams. We were the dynamic duo. The black kids from the hood who cracked the ivory tower. Until the night he handed me the scotch and said, "Drink up,
Ken.
this one's for us." That us was a lie wrapped in a prospectus. Jax had been siphoning funds from our firm's slush account, millions funneled into offshore shells for his side hustle. A crypto scam that promised the moon to desperate millennials. When the Fed started sniffing, he pinned it on me. Forged emails, doctored logs, my login creds stamped on every dirty transfer. I woke up to SWAT boots on my chest, the SEC hauling servers, and my face splashed across CNBC as the South Side swindler. Betrayal? That's too clean a word. This was fratricide of the soul. My girl, Lena, fiery Dominican Spitfire who tattooed my initials on her ribcage, walked out with our dog and half my shit, muttering about how she'd always known I was too hungry for the shine. My mom, God rest her, clutched her rosary in the projects, whispering prayers for the son who'd shamed the family name. And the firm? They sued me into oblivion, garnished my 401k down to pennies, left me couch surfing in a buddy's Logan Square walk-up, dodging repo men and collection calls. I hit rock bottom on a Tuesday in October. Same as always. Woke up sweating from dreams of Jax's yacht parties. The ones I'd planned the guest lists for while he popped Vuve with models. Stumbled to the bathroom mirror. Saw the hollows under my eyes. The stubble like sandpaper on my jaw. "You're done, Kennedy," I told the ghost staring back. Time to fade out. That's when the knock came. Not the pounding of bill collectors or the buzzer for a process server, but a soft, insistent rap, like fate clearing its throat. I cracked the door, and there stood a courier in a crisp FedEx vest, rain dripping off his cap like tears from a stone. "Delivery for Kennedy Hale," he said, thrusting a battered wooden box at me. No bigger than a shoebox, sealed with wax that looked older than my grandma's recipe book. The label was handwritten in spidery script from Elias Hale, final bequest. "Handle with care. Grandpa Elias." The ghost in our family lore. The rich uncle nobody talked about. Mom's dad, who'd clawed his way from bootlegging in Prohibition-era Gary, Indiana, to oil wildcatting in Texas, then pivoted to Silicon Valley VC bets in the 80s. He built a fortune on instinct and ruthlessness, the kind of money that bought islands and silence. But he cut us off after Dad died, overdose, they said, though whispers hinted at debts Elias wouldn't forgive. Mom never spoke his name without spitting. Called him the devil in pinstripes. Last I'd heard, he was holed up in a Monterey estate, dying slow from pancreatic shadows. The courier was gone before I could sign, vanishing into the downpour like a bad omen. I hauled the box inside. The wood heavy, etched with symbols that looked Celtic or some Masonic bullshit, knots and eyes that seemed to watch me as I pried the lid. Inside, velvet lining, and nestled like a relic, a glass vial the size of my thumb, filled with iridescent powder that shifted colors in the light, blue to green to blood red. Tucked beside it, a yellowed envelope, sealed with the same wax. Kennedy, if you're reading this, I'm dust, and you've got my blood in your veins. I built empires on secrets.
Boy.
This one's mine, the dust of echoes. Brewed from whispers of the old world, refined in labs no government touches. One pinch in wine, shared with your mark, and souls switch houses. 24 hours, give or take, enough to rewrite the script. Use it wise, or it'll chew you hollow. You remind me of me at your age. Hungry, betrayed. Harlan's type? Wolves in sheep's wool. Strike true. The world's a ledger. Balance it. No love. Just legacy. Burn this. Elias. I laughed. A bark that echoed off the peeling wallpaper. Grandpa's last joke. Some acid trip inheritance for the black sheep. Soul-swapping dust? Sounded like the plot of a Tyler Perry fever dream crossed with a Dan Brown conspiracy. But as I held the vial to the light, something thrummed in my chest, a pull, like static before a storm. Elias Hale didn't do pranks. He did power plays. That night, I dreamed of Jax's eyes in my skull, his voice in my throat. You were always the fall guy.
Ken.
That's why I kept you around. Woke up gasping, the vial clutched in my fist. By dawn, I'd decided. Fuck fading out. Time to collect. The planning was surgical, the kind of cold calculus I'd once run for arbitrage spreads. Jax lived large now, penthouse in the Gold Coast, overlooking Lake Michigan like he owned the horizon. Wife number 3, a Botoxed influencer named Britt, and a kid on the way, courtesy of in vitro cash. He'd risen Phoenix style after my fall, promoted to managing director, keynoting at fintech summits. His TED Talk on ethical disruption, racking up 1 million views. The man who'd framed me for grand larceny was now a darling of the Chicago business elite, rubbing elbows with the Dailies and the Pritzkers. I needed access. Clean. Untraceable. My old gym membership was still active, perk of the alumni network, and Jax was a creature of habit. 6 a.m. Spin class. Then espresso at the lobby cafe. I tailed him for a week, blending into the early morning suits, my hoodie up against the wind off the lake. He was softer now, paunch from steakhouse excesses, but the smile was the same, shark under silk. The swap required proximity. The note implied shared breath, shared vessel. Wine was the medium, but I improvised. A flask of cheap Merlot, spiked with a grain of dust, barely a whisper, glowing faint as I stirred. I waited for the post-workout ritual. Jax always lingered at the cafe, scrolling Bloomberg on his phone, oblivious to the world he'd torched. Friday, I made my move. Slipped into the seat across from him, heart pounding like a bass drop in a drill track. Jax Harlan, I said, voice steady as Lakeshore Drive. Long time. He looked up. That flicker of recognition sharpening to wariness. Kennedy?
Shit.
Man. You look rough. Rough's one word for it. I slid the flask across the Formica table. Peace offering. From the old days. To the brother who had my back. He eyed it. Ego winning over caution. And scathed by scandal. Why suspect poison?
He took a swig.
Passed it back. Water under the bridge.
Ken.
You fucked up. But hey, lessons learned. I drank. The dust blooming bitter on my tongue. Like ash and ozone. We talked surface shit, bears in the market. The bears losing streak, while my vision tunneled. Colors bleeding at the edges. His laugh echoed wrong.
Too hollow.
Then, snap like a rubber band in my brain. The world flipped. When the fog cleared, I was staring at my old face across the table. Slack-jawed and blinking. Jax and me reached out. Confusion twisting my features. What the foo? But I was already moving. Jax's body responding like a Ferrari after a decade in my rusted Civic. Stronger. Smoother. The power thrumming in veins that weren't mine. I leaned in, whispered, "Welcome to hell, brother," and watched Kennedy Hale crumple, eyes wide with the horror of a thief caught in his own trap. 24 hours. That's all the sand in the hourglass. Enough time to dismantle an empire from the inside. I stepped out into the Chicago morning, the lake breeze whipping Jax's cashmere scarf around my neck. And for the first time in months, I smiled. Real. Razor-edged. The revenge wasn't just coming, it was here. Wearing a $2,000 suit. Wearing Jax's skin felt like slipping into a lie tailored just for you, comfortable until the seams split. His penthouse key fob burned a hole in his pocket, and by noon, I was riding the private elevator up to the clouds. The city sprawling below like a toy set I'd outgrown. Britt was out yoga in Lincoln Park. Thank God, leaving me alone with the ghosts of my old life mirrored in marble counters and abstract art that screamed, "I bought this to launder sins." First order, Intel. Jax's phone was a vault, biometrics bypassed by the simple press of his thumb. Emails flooded in, board agendas, client dinners, a thread with his lawyer confirming the final nail in my coffin, a civil suit settlement that'd leave me bankrupt for life. Buried deeper, the secrets he'd chiseled into the foundation of his rise. Encrypted folders labeled contingencies, wire transfers to a Cayman account, payoffs to the whistleblower who'd tipped the feds, me, framed as the mastermind. And there, in a subfolder marked family, a PDF that stopped my borrowed heart. It was a birth certificate. Not Jax's.
Mine.
Kennedy Hale. Born 1997. Cook County Hospital. But the mother listed? Not my mom. Elias Hale's signature looped at the bottom. Acknowledgement of paternity. Grandpa wasn't just estranged, he was dad. The devil in pinstripes had sired me in a one-night stand with Mom during a Chicago layover, then ghosted her when the stick turned pink. She'd raised me solo, scraping by on nurse shifts, never breathing a word to shield me from his poison. Jax knew. His emails gloated about it. Elias's bastard thinks he's my equal. Time to remind him of the gutter. The betrayal layered deeper. A Russian doll of knives. Elias hadn't just left dust, he left truth. And Jax had weaponized it to keep me small, loyal, expendable. I wanted to smash the phone. But no. Evidence first. I forwarded it all to a burner email, then dove into the firm's VPN. As managing director, Jax had God mode access, client portfolios, trade histories. The embezzlement? A drop in the bucket. Jax had been running a shadow operation. Insider tips funneled to hedge funds he controlled anonymously. Names dropped: senators, CEOs, even a rogue cop who'd buried the initial probe. Controversy brewed in my gut. Do I expose it all? Nuke his world with leaks to the Tribune? Watch the dominoes fall? Or play it surgical, twist the knife personal? Make him beg in my voice? The dust's timer ticked. I felt it in the phantom itch behind my eyes, like a migraine heralding eviction. Decisions loomed, the kind that'd haunt confessionals, mercy or massacre. By evening, Britt breezed in, all Lululemon glow and vanilla latte scent. Babe, you're home early. Bad spin class. She pecked my cheek, Jax's cheek, her hand lingering on a belly just starting to round. I forced his grin. The one that closed deals. Just needed to see you. That's all. Up close. She was sharper than Instagram filters suggested, eyes like a hawk's, scanning for cracks. We'd met her at a firm gala. Jax poached her from a rival's marketing team, married her for the optics. Did she know? The files hinted yes. Wire transfers to her consulting LLC. Fat enough to buy silence. Dinner was a minefield. I ordered Thai from his go-to spot, pad see ew with extra lime. Just how he liked, while she chattered about nursery Pinterest boards. It's a boy.
Jax.
Can you believe it? Little Harlan heir. The word heir landed like acid in Jax's body. I was the vessel for his legacy. But the kid? Mine by proxy. A twist of fate's cruel joke. We ate on the balcony, the city lights winking like conspirators. Wine poured, unspiked, to keep the illusion. She leaned in, voice dropping. You seem off. That Hale mess still eating you. My fork paused. Hale?
Kennedy.
You mean? She shrugged. Too casual.
Yeah.
His appeal got denied today. Poor bastard's going away for 20.
Easy.
You did what you had to.
Babe.
Protect the family.
Family.
The word ignited something feral. I set the glass down. Watched the red swirl like blood in water. What if it wasn't him? What if the logs were faked? Britt's laugh tinkled, but her eyes hardened. Jax. Don't.
We talked about this.
Paranoia doesn't suit you. She reached for my hand, nails digging subtle a warning. She knew. Not the full rot, but enough to ride the wave. That night, in his king bed, her body curled against mine. I lay awake plotting. The swap held, but cracks showed, a stutter in my step. Memories bleeding, Jax's first kiss flashing unbidden, his mom's meatloaf recipe surfacing like bile. By 3 a.m., decision crystallized, go nuclear, but personal. Hit the board meeting tomorrow. As Jax announced the resignation, leak the files mid-pitch. Watch his empire, our empire, crumble from the throne. Morning broke gray, the lake flat as a blade. Britt kissed me goodbye, oblivious or complicit. I suited up in his closet, Zegna, crisp as a lie, and headed to the loop. The office was a cathedral of glass and greed, my old desk now an intern station, haunted by echoes. Colleagues nodded. Morning. Jax, their deference a drug I savored. The boardroom hummed with power, silver-haired execs in Hermes ties. The firm's founder nursing black coffee, oblivious to the bomb in their midst. I took the head, Jax's voice booming through me. Gentlemen. Ladies, today. We pivot. Slides clicked. Projections. Growth charts. Then, mid-flow, I hacked the projector, prepped on his laptop overnight. Files spilled. Transfers. Emails. The birth cert as cherry on top. Gasps rippled. What the hell is this? Harlan. I stood, channeling every hood sermon I'd heard. This is truth. I've been bleeding the firm dry. Kennedy Hale? Innocent. Framed to cover my ass. Faces blanched, the founder slammed his fist. You're done. Harlan. Security. Chaos erupted, calls to counsel. Shouts of fraud. I laughed. Jax's timbre rich with my venom. Call the feds. Tell M the swindlers in the room. As they swarmed, I slipped a USB into the founder's pocket. Insurance. The full dossier. Then, out the door. Into the elevator. Heart racing as the dust's pull tightened, like hooks in flesh. Back in the penthouse. The mirror mocked Jax's face. But my eyes, wild, unmoored. 12 hours left. Britt texted, WTF?
Bored and meltdown. Call me.
I ignored it. Poured a scotch neat. How he liked, and toasted the reflection. To legacies.
Grandpa.
Yours just bought mine back. But as the liquor burned, doubt crept. Elias's note, strike true. Was this true? Or just vengeance dressed as justice? The kid his kid. Growing in Britt's womb. Collateral in my war. Controversial? Hell. It was radioactive. Destroy Jax. And I orphaned a life not yet born. Save it. And mercy diluted the scales. The timer whispered, choose. The dust's half-life hit like a freight train around hour 18, muscles aching in protest. Jax's memories surging like bad acid, his prom night fumble, the thrill of the first rigged trade, Mom's funeral where he dry-sobbed for the cameras. I fought it, pacing the penthouse like a caged wolf, the city below a glittering jury waiting for my verdict. Britt burst through the door at dusk, face a mask of fury and fear, phone clutched like a grenade. Jax. You stupid son of a bitch. What did you do? She hurled the device at me. Headlines screamed from the lock screen. Gold Coast Titan confesses embezzlement. Harlan firm in turmoil. Tweets piled on. Jax Harlan scam trending. Clients bailing like rats from a blaze. I caught the phone. His reflexes sharp. It's done.
Britt.
The truth's out. She advanced. Heels clicking like gunfire. Truth? You think this is truth? You're tanking us, me. The baby for what? Guilt over your pet project. Her eyes narrowed. The influencer facade cracking to reveal the shark beneath. Kennedy was collateral. You said it yourself. Necessary evil. Pet project. The words landed like a gut punch. I grabbed her wrist, gentle, but firm, pulling her close. You knew. All of it. The payoffs. The fakes. She yanked free, but didn't deny. I knew enough to survive. You built this.
Jax. We did.
He was weak, always the conscience in the room. Whining about ethics while you closed the deals. Her voice cracked. Venom laced with something raw. And now, you're throwing it away for a ghost. Not a ghost, a brother. But in her eyes, I saw the calculus. Stay with the winner or cut losses. Controversial choice number 2. Confront or corrupt. I could end her complicity here, leak her LLC ties. Drag her into the mud.
Or
Recruit. Make her the vessel for a new truth. Tell me about the baby, I said instead, voice softening to Jax's timbre. Boy or girl fantasy? She faltered, hand drifting to her belly.
Boy.
Like you. A beat. Then, like us. I poured wine, hers non-alcoholic. A mocktail twist, and we sat, the skyline bleeding orange into night. She spilled in fragments how Jax had confided the frame job over candlelight, promising it'd secure their future. He said Kennedy was family, but dead weight. That you'd protect me if it went south. Lies layered on lies. But in her pauses, I glimpsed the fracture, a woman who'd bet on the devil, now staring down the abyss. As the clock ticked toward midnight, the pull intensified, vertigo waves, Jax's soul clawing back like fingers on a ledge. I needed to swap back, confront him in my flesh, make the fall personal. But first, the climax. Jax, trapped in my body, was likely in a holding cell by now. The firm's lawyers circling my old carcass like vultures. No, he'd lawyer up, spin it as coercion. Mental break. The man's a fox. He'd slither free unless I chained him. Decision. Go to the source. I grabbed Jax's keys, Porsche fob gleaming, and headed to the precinct downtown, Brit protesting from the doorway. You're insane. They'll lock you up. Let 'em. I called over my shoulder. I've got a confession to hear. The drive was a blur. Michigan Avenue neon streaking like accusations. Cops knew Jax by sight, donor to the fraternal order, golf buddy to the commissioner. They waved me through to interrogation, where I sat, hunched in orange, eyes bloodshot. The birth cert crumpled in his fist. Our gazes locked through the glass, mine triumphant, his feral with trapped rage. Mr. Harlan, the detective drawled, all gum and cynicism.
Your
associate hears singing a wild tune. Says he's you. You're him. Body swap bullshit. Wanna translate? I flashed the smile that closed billions. Let me talk to him. Alone. They obliged, perks of power. In the room, the air thickened. Two souls in stolen shells. Ken, he hissed through my lips. What the fuck is this? Some PCP hallucination. Elias's gift, I said, leaning in. The box you mocked when Mom died. Remember? You laughed. Called it old man voodoo. But it's real.
Jax.
And you're in the cheap seats now. His face, my face, twisted. Elias? That bastard spawn is you? Shit. It tracks. Always the mark. He lunged, but cuffs held. Undo it.
Now.
Too late. I slid a recorder across the table. Red light blinking.
Confess.
On tape. The frame. The funds. The blackmail on Brit to keep quiet. Do it. And maybe I let the swap fade clean. Fight. And I leak everything, your offshore nest egg. The senator's bribes. Your kid grows up visiting daddy in Supermax. He searched my eyes. Calculating. The room pulsed with tension. The dust's endgame squeezing my skull. Controversy peaked. Force a false mercy. Or burn it all. Jax spat details, dates, amounts. The night he spiked my drink with roofies to plant evidence. You were easy.
Ken.
Loyal dog. Elias's blood made you soft. The tape rolled. Damning. I pocketed it. Stood. One last thing. The mistake I took for you. He smirked. Pull. The overdose? Dad's habit you covered, said it was suicide to spare Mom the shame. I found the text. Used it to keep you hooked. Another layer peeled. I'd buried Dad's dealer ties. Told cops it was clean grief. Jax had twisted that shield into a noose. Rage boiled. But the swap buckled, vision doubling. His essence flooding back. Time's up, I gasped, collapsing as the room spun. Souls wrenched. Bodies realigning like puzzle pieces, slamming home. I woke on the floor. Me again scrawny. Scarred, while Jax thrashed in his suit, howling as reality reasserted. Cops burst in. Tasers drawn. Harlan, what the? He pointed at me.
Wild.
It's him, the swindler. But the tape played on loop from my pocket. His voice damning itself. They cuffed him. Dragged him out. Britt's call lighting my phone. Where are you? It's over. Over?
Not yet.
The climax crested as sirens wailed. The precinct a whirlwind of badges and questions. I slipped free on Harlan cred, residual, like smoke from a fire, and stepped into the night, the city exhaling around me. Revenge tasted like ash. But victory? That was the high. Or so I thought. The dust's echo lingered. A whisper in my veins. Balanced the ledger. Elias's final play waited, buried in the box of shadow. Dawn cracked over Chicago like a hangover, the sun mocking the wreckage with its indifferent gold. I crashed in a motel off Cicero, faded Starlight Inn, the kind with hourly rates and roaches that paid rent, nursing black coffee, and the shakes from the swap's recoil. My body felt reclaimed, but foreign. Muscles memory-laced with Jax's swagger. The news blared from a thrift store TV. Harlan arrested in corporate bombshell, $50M fraud ring exposed. Pundits dissected it. The talking heads in power ties debating if it was a breakdown or a breakthrough in accountability. Justice for Kennedy trended. My old mugshot flipped to folk hero. Britt called at 8 sharp. Voice a wire of ice. Kennedy? It's you. Isn't it?
Jax.
He's ranting about dust and souls. They sedated him. A pause. Laced with calculation. Meet me. The penthouse. We talk. Trap or truce. The controversial fork. Walk away rich in vindication. Or plunge back for the kill. I went. The elevator ride up was a requiem. Floors ticking like a countdown. Britt waited in the living room. 9 months swell prominent. Packing boxes stacked like accusations. You look like shit, she said. No hello. Feel like it. I eyed the ultrasound on the coffee table, blurry proof of life. The kid?
Him.
Ours. Technically. She rubbed her belly, eyes appraising. Jax's frozen swimmers.
Your.
Complication. But after this, I can raise him clean. Unless you want in.
In?
The offer dangled. Poisoned apple. Co-parent with the enemy? Or claim the heir Elias's blood entitled me to? What's the ask? Your silence on my roll. And half the settlement. Firms paying out millions in reparations. Kennedy Hale gets made whole. Her smile was a blade. Family. Right? Family. The word soured now. Tainted by Jax's gloating. Elias's abandonment. I laughed. Bitter. Elias taught me better. Ledger's balance.
Britt.
Yours tips red. She stiffened. Threaten me. And the kid pays. You think you're the hero? This city's chewed bigger men. Bigger men like Grandpa. I left her with that. The door clicking shut on a chapter of what ifs. Down in the lobby, A limo idled, black. Anonymous. The driver nodded. Mr. Hale, courtesy of the estate. Elias's lawyers waited in a loop high-rise, all mahogany and discretion. The will reading was a formality, the Monterey compound, oil, residuals. A trust fat enough to buy my old life tenfold. But the codicil? A video? Grandpa's gaunt face flickering on screen. Oxygen mask fogging his words. Kennedy.
Boy.
If you use the dust, you know the cost. Echoes don't fade clean, they echo back. He coughed. Eyes like chipped flint. Harlan wasn't the wolf. I bred him. Recruited your brother from juvie. Molded him in my image to test you. The frame? My script. To forge fire for MASH. You took the fall like I did, 29 crash. Bootleg busts. But you struck true. The kid? Yours by blood. Mine by line. Raise him, or let him burn. Ledger's yours now. The screen went black. Twist inverted, not victim, but pawn in Elias's grand game. The betrayal? A crucible. Secrets chiseled to sharpen the blade. Jax, the false brother, was the mirror, Elias's proxy to break or build me. I'd avenged a lie, balanced a rigged scale. Lawyers slid papers, power of attorney over Brit's care. The trust strings to pull. Controversial endgame, mercy as manipulation. I signed, walked out into the noon bustle. The city pulsing with oblivious energy, hot dog vendors hawking under the L. Suits dodging puddles. A sax busker wailing Coltrane riffs. Months blurred, Jax's trial a circus. 25 in federal pen. Brit decamping to a Gold Coast condo on my dime. The boy came screaming into the world on a February blizzard, Elias Kennedy Hale. Named for ghosts. I held him first, tiny fist clutching my finger, eyes a storm of unknowns. Brit watched, wary truce in her gaze. Don't fuck this up, she murmured. I didn't, not in the Hollywood way. Raised him in the project shadow, a brownstone in Bronzeville, teaching him numbers before ABCs, cautionary tales of wolves in wool. The money built schools, not yachts. I funneled it to Southside startups, balancing Elias's greed with Mom's grace. But nights, when the kids slept and the city hummed, doubt gnawed, was I redeemer or reprobate? The dust's echo whispered in dreams, Jax's laugh, Elias's cough, questioning if revenge healed or hollowed.
Years on.
At his high school graduation, Elias Jr. hugged me fierce, whispering, thanks for the fight, Dad. Brit nodded from the bleachers. Remarried to some tech bro. Our pact of fragile peace. Jax, paroled early for good behavior. Vanished to Belize obscurity. Last tabloid snap, a beach bum with a paunch. Happy? Tragic? Debatable as a Supreme Court split. I won my life back. But the box's curse lingers. Power's a swap you can't unmake. In America's grind, where the house always wins, revenge isn't closure. It's the next ledger, waiting to balance. And sometimes, in the quiet, I wonder if I'd open that door again. Knock knock. Fate's last delivery. What would you do?